Okay, great. It being 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, November 7th, 2024, I'd like to call to order the Planning and Zoning Historic Commission of East Dundee. Veronica, you take the roll.
Commissioner Feck.
Here.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher.
Here.
Commissioner Myers.
Here.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Here.
Commissioner Kruger is absent. Commissioner Stenick.
Yes.
And Chair Brunner.
Here. So we have quorum, so let's move on to our business. So we have no approval of minutes today, so moving on to public comment. Do we have anyone in the audience who would like to make a statement or comment on an agenda or non-agenda item?
I would.
Okay.
I'm sorry I didn't come in early enough to hand in my form.
Oh, that's fine. So if you could state your name and address.
My name is Jeff Newing. I represent Pal Holding in East Dundee and their affiliated companies. Pal is the owner of approximately 400 acres of surrounding property around 900 Christina Drive, one of your subject of tonight's petition. In fact, Pal Land sold Enterprise Holdings in 2016 to the 24-acre site that's subject of tonight's petition. In 2014 and again in 2022, the village enacted ordinances waiving certain parking lot requirements in order to allow Pal Land to conduct truck parking activities on grindings without curbing and without typical parking lot landscaping or illumination. However, the original East Dundee ordinance in 1441 stated that this waiver shall no longer apply to any portion of the waiver area that may hereafter be developed with a building or other site improvements pursuant to the site without a site plan, or pursuant to a site plan. In 2022, the parking waiver, the village stated that waivers were limited to expire on or before May 2nd of 2052. Here, the petitioner is seeking to have permanent variances approved, which are the same as waivers granted to Pal Land. Those variances will never expire. Also, the variance request does not meet the standards for variations in your ordinance. Specifically, there are no unique circumstances regarding the 24-acre parcel that has caused the need for a variance. There is nothing about the 24-acre property, its shape or topography, that results in any particular hardship in having to comply with all requirements of the ordinance. And there is no conditions present with respect to the 24-acre property that require the variations for its productive use. Clearly, this site could be used for many other uses. Pal Land has, since 2007, slowly but surely been developing and redeveloping almost throughout its 400 acres with buildings that have brought in substantial tenants and revenue to the village. The truck parking it has been allowed through the village waivers have been used to incent growth on this area, and that has been very successful. While we can't be sure exactly when 100% of the property is going to be developed, it is the goal and the plan of Pal Holding. This petition seeks to make this 24-acre site a permanent truck parking area. In addition to Pal Land's truck parking, there are other nearby truck parking facilities on other areas of the village and very close to its perimeter. Also, as the owner of 5 other buildings on Terra Business Park and a 6th that is underway, I can assure you there is a great demand for commercial and industrial tenants and buyers that are not engaged exclusively in truck parking. In conclusion, we would respectfully oppose this position and this petition and ask that you recommend denial to the village board. Is there any questions for me?
When did you say Pal received their waivers?
2014?
And do you believe that was by ordinance?
Yes.
Also,
Which I have copies of them here.
Yeah. copies of the ordinance?
Yes.
Yeah, also, this is information that would generally be in the public hearing, right? This seems very relevant to being in a public hearing.
I would.
Yeah, were you planning on staying around for the hearing?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know how much we'd want him to repeat
I
himself.
think he could do the comments during this section, but the back and forth would be more
Yes.
appropriate for the public hearing.
Yes, so we can reference this in the public hearing,
Sure.
the statement from public comment,
Sure.
and then discuss it in the public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great.
You'd have to be sworn in.
You'd have to be sworn in then and everything, but,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Anybody else looking to make a public comment? Seeing none, moving on to our first order of business, which will be the discussion around the Historic District Guidelines presented by Egret and Ox. I'll let Todd take it away.
Great. Thank you, Chair Brunner. Thank you, Plan Commissioners, for having me again. So tonight is part 3 of our discussion series of the Historic District Guidelines. So today we're going to be focusing in on 3 main sections. It looks like a lot, but there's actually a lot's going to be happening behind the scenes. I'm trying to get your feedback on a few of the items that I think are worth discussion. Other items are more kind of standard language that you'll see in Q1 of next year. So better to respond to that then. But today will be a shorter discussion on these 3 items. So as you see, this is again part 3 of 4 of our discussion. We're going to be focusing in on existing structures, new construction and additions, and demolition. And I'll walk you through each of those in the next few slides. So the first is existing structures. So on the right-hand side, you'll actually see the general contents of that chapter will be, most chapters have a purpose and goals section, and then we're talking about general building provisions, ground floor uses, which I'll get your comment on, material scale and detail, which is actually really important to get your feedback on, and then building exterior maintenance and alterations, and then adaptive reuse in buildings. So the general building provisions and then the exterior maintenance and alterations, that's kind of the behind the scenes stuff that I'll work on in the next several weeks and present those to you probably in January or February. That way you can respond better to what standard language looks like. But today I wanted to really focus on more about materials and scale and detail, because that's actually stuff that you have influence on as commissioners to know what you feel is appropriate for your historic district, because it's different for different districts. So one thing I wanted to get are there any common materials that you see in the historic district that should be maintained and be part of the guidelines? And conversely, are there any materials that you should be prohibited? So things that you should encourage and some that you should discourage. So
I think
I'll open it up.
composite panels should be forbidden.
I'm sorry?
Composite panels?
Composite panels. Do you
Yeah.
see that a lot today, or is it just in general?
It's a modern trend, but I think for this community, most likely it wouldn't fit.
Okay.
I think our most common materials are bricks and, clapboard, or something looking like a traditional, like cedar clapboard.
Okay.
I'm willing for it to be cement board or whatever, but that look.
Okay.
I also see like cornices, nice details.
Okay.
Whether it's brick or, I guess FIPON could be something that could be used.
Yeah.
Something decorative is what I see.
In our last meeting, you had mentioned that there, like some of them on the eaves of the
Yeah,
roofs
that was
have really
beautiful.
nice ornate. So stuff like that you
Yeah.
think are worth
Mhm.
keeping.
I'll post it to the board, something we discussed when Tequila Valves was in. Do we have a feeling on the, imitation stone that's not stone, looks like stone?
Yeah, that doesn't fit the community at all. The full stone, not one bit.
Yeah.
/ tile.
Yeah, in general, faux materials, even faux brick. Some people get away with brick, like just because it still looks like brick, but if you actually took off the veneer, it's not really brick, it's just like a thin layer of,
It's a tile.
yeah, it's a tile, so.
Mhm.
We do actually have, and I think looks fine, the brick facing, so that's been done a lot in
Yeah.
town, where they'll cut the bricks in half and use half a brick.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it kind of depends on what your palate is for taste.
Do you see other municipalities banning? I mean, I have no problem. Well, I guess I do have a problem with banning certain things, because like the the vinyl fencing that was up at Diamond Gyms and that before they went back to the wrought iron, and some of the siding that was initially on the Amble Club and that, it looked like plastic. So to me, that's not acceptable. But as they continue to develop the imitations or the composite materials to look like things, I just think if aesthetically it looks better and it's a composite, there's a lot less likelihood that it's going to go into a state of disrepair. And I'd almost rather have the composite materials as long as they give the appearance of a historic value. So I just think it's dangerous to start banning materials if the material looks, because if we ban it, then we'd have to essentially grant a variance to our own code, which again, I'm not opposed to doing that either, but I don't know which is better. Is if you ban a material and then as the material evolves and becomes more acceptable, I guess you could always change your code, or you could grant a variance.
Yeah, and I think here really these will be guidelines, right? It's a bit different than
unless you codify it.
We follow as variances and special use where we have to. It doesn't force us to do anything.
Yeah, you can
But
soften the
it's-
language. You could say discourage versus require or prohibit.
Or we could say, because this is the thing, I totally get, we could say something now that it looks bad. There could be a product in the future that
Right.
Yeah.
Blows you away.
blows you away.
Well, the half brick, whoever thought 40 years ago that they'd come up with a product that you could nail onto a building in tuck point that looks like brick.
Yeah. 10, 20 years ago, people didn't like EFIS or stucco, but
Right.
it's changed and
Yeah.
it's a little more acceptable.
So I think the way I guess I'm starting to come around to looking at this, we'll have these guidelines, and these will be the things that we can use to drive discussions. We still get to look at every proposal on its own merits, right? And we can definitely say, no, you're using something synthetic, we can use that to say that's why we're doing it. I think we have a lawn mowing ordinance in town, but it's only really used if people go out of control, So it gives us good reasons for saying, no, this is not acceptable. So I would almost rather have it be stricter than us.
Yeah, from a guideline standpoint, sure.
Sure. Okay. Any other materials to encourage or discourage before we move on?
I do like the concept, like you said, of the wrought iron fencing.
Yeah.
I think that's a good look for.
It's a beautiful touch.
For when wanting to do partitions like that. We have a couple of them in town. I know, behind the Willem Birch building, they have a little bit.
Yeah.
It just, it makes it feel more open while still getting the privacy.
Sure.
So.
Okay. So just moving on to that fourth bullet point, just more of a lightning round. We'll just go quickly on getting your general perspectives on various aspects of parts of the exteriors of buildings. First one is residential uses on ground floor. The reason that comes up is because traditionally you usually reserve your ground floor for office or commercial, but we're starting to see a trend in land use planning that residential is becoming a little more acceptable because it can be really hard to fill tenant space in today's marketplace. So, but if you provide residential, it doesn't even have to be units. It can just be a common space, like an entry point to an apartment building, or something like that, or receiving area. But you do see maybe like a live work space for artists, especially in a downtown, historic downtown. That's where you often see it. That might be more acceptable. What is just want to get your feel on residential uses?
I don't oppose it.
I would say the only thing that I'm thinking of is I wouldn't oppose it, let's say in the back of the building. I wouldn't necessarily want I think a residential right on the front of the building. If they close it off, I like the feel of our downtown looking open. If you're
Yes.
walking around, you can see it and see something interesting. Whereas if you make it residential, they'll put up blinds and could close it. So I wouldn't want to
I think
encourage
generally
that.
it'd be hard to sell a unit that's right
Yeah.
off a busy street
Yeah.
anyway, so
But
they'd
yeah.
probably be in the rear.
Yeah, so to me,
Yeah.
that's fine. Our buildings downtown, like you're talking about the ones on the main street, they're very
yeah.
deep, right? And if you
Sure.
wanted to carve, 20 feet off the back for that,
Yeah. Okay. Second one is paint on either brick, concrete, or metal. That's basically you have like regular red brick, but someone decides to paint it black or purple because that's the color of their restaurant or their logo. What is your feelings on painting?
I have a hard time with that. Definitely not painting because it chips over time. Staining is probably better, but just in general, if we do want to keep a color palette for the community, we should come in agreement whether we want it stained or not.
So, yeah, I mean, I know we had historic painted brick here.
Right.
You know, I mean, obviously, you know, Hager was all painted.
That's right.
A whole bunch of it painted, you know.
Where do we draw the line? You know, we have a Coca-Cola symbol on the side of
Yeah, yeah.
a building downtown, but can we maybe fall in line with no radical colors?
Yeah, like a color palette.
Yeah, so
Right,
if
yeah.
you see at the
Yeah.
bottom of
Uh-huh.
the slide, so one thing that we'll cover probably in January is going through an exercise about a color palette. This actually might be homework for you all to do before we meet
Yeah.
again, to kind of judge what you really feel is appropriate color palette for your
Yeah.
historic district. It's a really fun exercise that way, and then we'll try to come to a consensus. We may not come to a total agreement, but we'll get close to it.
I totally hate brick being painted, by the way.
Me
But,
too.
I mean, it's done. A bunch of the old houses, even in West
Yeah.
Virginia, are
And the bad thing with that is that, you know, like the freeze and thaw, and then it starts
sure.
popping, the paint, it looks terrible over
Yeah.
time.
And
That's
we
why
also have
staining, yeah.
to worry about our murals, which are being painted on stone down here.
Okay. Decorative garage doors and lighting. I'll actually have those are the next two slides. I'll cover that in a second. Public use of rooftops. Basically, if there's a restaurant on top of a roof, are you all okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
actually a
absolutely.
big one starting up.
Yeah.
We encourage
We're gonna have
it.
in- yeah.
Okay. Outdoor dining, same thing. You already have it now. I just wanted to present that. And then kind of going together with outdoor dining is winter enclosures. You started seeing more of that during COVID, the pandemic, but you even saw it before where it's either like little igloos or
Yes.
extended
We
awnings.
still do that. I mean, we have one of our businesses that pretty much permanently has a tent. And then they enclose it with glass in the winter. So
Okay.
definitely something to look at. And then we have the igloos as well still.
Sure. All right. Most of it's pretty acceptable because you see it. It's more common now. So.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of okay with those.
Yes. Yeah.
They're kind of cute in the, you know.
Okay. So the last two, one is decorative garage doors. Basically, it looks like an industrial garage door, but you'll see these on restaurants or breweries or bars where it actually can open up on nice weather days, but it closes and it provides more exterior light to come in. I'm not sure where this picture is, but a lot of downtowns you start seeing it more. I'm not sure if you have any here,
We have one and we have another one that we approved.
and you're okay,
Yeah.
generally okay with
I
this.
mean, we discussed it, but I think, you know, when they're done like that, where it's a simple black and mainly glass, I mean, it's.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
also dictated by the health department if they allow that, because if you're opening and preparing foods, then you get flies or little rodents
Yeah.
come in. So it just depends on the health department, am I
Yeah.
correct?
None of them, yeah, because none of them actually open into an indoor space that's also a kitchen, like a food place. We have one at a brewery, which doesn't serve food, and then the other one, it's to like an outdoor patio.
Sure. Okay. Good to know. And the other one is just lighting. This is a photo of your downtown, so it seems like you're generally okay with different lighting, maybe more so during the holiday season. But some things to think about is modern versus historic light fixtures, different light types. You can see them listed there. Most of them are pretty acceptable and generally aren't too tough on the eyes or the kind of the character of your downtown. Exterior and interior building lighting, these are just stuff that will be in your design standards. Stuff like security lights, floodlights, and foot-based lights. So foot or base lights are like if they shine up to a sign or something visual on a
If
building.
possible, I would like to control light pollution.
Sure. And then one other creative one is spotlighting, whether it's like on a building. So it could be like a logo of like, it could be like the village's logo on a wall, or sometimes you'll see them on the sidewalk too. So that's becoming a little bit more popular, more commonplace. That's probably the one I might want to get your view on before we move on.
Do we want to put a guideline that we prefer white? I mean, I find the green light on Tequila Bells offensive.
Mhm.
And-
Yeah.
And while I know that I think some forms of neon date to the late 1800s, I don't think neon really became prevalent until the 1920s. And I just don't know that
Yeah.
colored lighting really existed all that much in the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in general, I prefer like, unlit signs that have a light on them.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that looks nice on our street, on the little, the ones where the businesses are all lined up together, the top there on the right. I think that works well. Like the TDS sign is, I think, really nice. They built that, it just hangs there and they have a light on it. So.
Yeah.
I agree with the colored lights and also the sizing. I mean, I don't think we need lots of big signs in the downtown area at all.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but, the sizing of signs and sign approvals is,
Well, is that coming back to us?
it might come back to us.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not, we don't get to approve the signs in the historic commission.
Yeah, I think we talked about that at our last meeting, so. Okay. So that's all I had for that chapter. So the next chapter is new construction and additions. So again, on the right-hand side, you'll see the general contents of that chapter. You'll see the big grouping in the middle. A lot of that is pretty similar to the previous chapter about existing structures. There's going to be some differences because you want to have a little bit of difference between your historic ones and your new ones because of just the historic quality of historic building or existing buildings. But a lot of that will have an overlap. So that's why I grouped those together. But there's some things that are a little bit different that we need to cover, things like service areas, that's like loading for deliveries and so on. Site development location, where on the site can certain things be. Building facade design is also covered. Again, I'll provide those standards in the draft design guidelines when I present that to you early next year. But some of the things I did want to get your thoughts on, just the bullet points on the left. Are there any logo examples that are modern design that you find acceptable? I mean, sometimes people say like we shouldn't mix modern with historic, but sometimes some of the modern design actually fits well. It's respectful, but not too garish either. So,
Would you classify anything we have as modern?
Here,
Yeah.
I know Tequila Valves is way too modern. I think that just went overboard, but in terms of what would be acceptable, I think backlit channel lighting is something that's good, but yeah, I think that one just went a little bit too much. Too bad their food is good.
So I think that may be an example of something new. In general, all of the new work has been, I think trying to look old. If you look at the new buildings.
A lot of it is like the signage that's painted on with some lighting.
yeah.
That's what I've seen.
Yeah, so Mockingbird is one, and they're doing their reno, and that isn't necessarily being done historic in any way, right?
I have to look at it. I don't
I
remember.
mean, it's way better. It was just a cinder block building before, so it looks way better. But it might not be in our district. I don't know. It's not.
It's
so.
not?
I would say the Dairy Queen's not historic.
Yeah, it's not.
No, that's
It isn't.
not. Thank you.
But it's been there
Yes.
a long time.
1950 something.
Yeah, it's historic 1950.
That's a good point.
Yeah, we
It's
could.
a
Yeah.
metal pole bar.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think there is anything, to answer your direct question, I don't think there's anything new that we think should be replicated.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Good to know.
No.
And then sustainability initiatives are, you'll see at the bottom, kind of call out at the bottom of the slide. The main things that we really want to look at specifically for historic structures, because you want to be able to preserve those buildings as long as possible, is things like air sealing and ventilation. That's really important. Window energy efficiency, that's important for all buildings, but even more so for historic buildings, because if you don't have that window energy efficiency, that can really ruin existing materials inside. Alternative energy sources, that's more related to new construction where you might have solar panels on the roof or stuff like that. Not that you couldn't put on a historic structure, a historic building unless it's on the register, but you most likely wouldn't want to put solar panels on a historic building. But you might want to put green roofs on because sometimes that's just flat. It helps with maintaining temperature of the building, whether it's new construction or in existing structure. So stuff like that, there'll be standard or design guidelines in the document. So wanted to cover those. Are there any current sustainability initiatives that you do now that you want to make sure that we include or at least reference? Okay.
You covered pretty much what sustainability is for buildings. Can't think of.
Okay.
Now, for the EV charging stations, are we planning to put any here? Like for cars?
Yeah, there will be 2 spots at the surface lot. near the
Okay.
parking garage.
Yeah, I don't think that affects, yeah.
Yeah, we have one, I think it's a private one, right behind the Willow Birch. It's in the alley.
I'm not sure. I think
So
it
the
might
new
be
garage is going to have
a
few.
public one,
a
yeah,
public.
Okay.
2 spots.
Are you looking for guidance on just physical structure or essentially the entire envelope that would be included in a new structure?
It could be the whole envelope. I mean, a lot of this is focusing just on the building itself. But if it's stuff like bioswales, rain gardens, stuff like that, we do
Well,
talk about that in the landscaping
Yeah.
section.
I guess my thought is, even when the new parking structure gets completed based on the survey that staff or Caleb had done, we're still gonna be in the red as far as having the proper number of parking spaces. And I know that by ordinance, our code in the B1 gave certain like permanent variations that you don't have to provide parking. And I just think that that's I mean, apart from it being here, it would require a code change, but I just think it's dangerous. We've given all kinds of, we've given the business incentives of not having to provide parking because parking's available on the street, but we ended up in a huge hole with as far as parking spaces go. So I don't know if that's a standard that we would put in here in addition to possibly having to change our code.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
having something regarding parking with new construction in the district makes sense.
yeah. And we could talk about that in the parking section. I think we talked about parking maybe 2 meetings ago. But yeah, we'll reference that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are doing that additional one on this street too.
Yeah, correct, street, yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts on new construction? The last chapter is actually probably one of the shortest chapters of the entire design guidelines because it's something you don't want to encourage, is demolition. Again, the contents on the right, we talk about when is demolition an appropriate option. There's a lot of key factors that someone, a property owner must go through that you should require in your guidelines so that if they hit those marks and then it's justified. A lot of it's usually about public health that justifies demolition of a building, but there's other hurdles that they need to cross or thresholds.
We will be having a big demo in the town, in the historic district, the big yellow barns and stuff.
Okay.
We're gonna get probably torn down in the next year or so.
And when you say demolition, is that could be partial or complete?
It could be, yeah, either or, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then we have then review procedures of demolition. So when an application comes to you as a plan commission, what are those review procedures that you should look at and guidelines for demolition?
Yeah.
One thing, the little sidebar on the bottom is something called contextually significant buildings. So if there is a building that's really significant to the context of your historic district, but there's no other way but to demolish it, you can have something in your design guidelines that requires or encourages that you have like a plaque to recognize that there was once a historic structure there.
I like
That way
that.
you don't lose that historic quality, even though maybe there was a public health reason why you had to demolish the building.
We lost
So-
the one where the Colianos patio was, right? That was a big two-lot
Oh.
building that, wasn't maintained and they had to tear it down.
Do a lot of the historic buildings right now have plaques? I don't know if
So there's the Dundee Historic Society that will issue the local plaques.
Oh, they do that,
But that's,
okay.
I mean, and some do. I know the Anvil Club did, they kept it inside. I don't think any of them put them outside,
Okay.
none of the businesses.
I think West Dundee does have it outside.
Yeah, they could.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
I guess it's up to the
Okay.
property owner to
Yeah.
put them where they want to put
That's
them.
curious.
I thought there was, I mean, not on a commercial, but on a residential, I thought there was a house somewhere between Railroad and Jackson.
Okay, yeah.
That's on the west side of Van Buren that has a plaque on it.
There's a few of them.
Yeah, I
I
think-
think Van Buren and right in front of Ager.
Yeah, I
I think it's up to the owner. They can request
Yeah,
it
yeah.
and hang it up.
Oh,
You need to be 100 years old.
I
okay.
think you could put one on your house.
Yeah, yeah.
I could put one in my house for sure.
Yeah. But this would be something I think a bit more significant. Like,
Okay.
It would be like a, you know, a bronze thing or something.
So,
permanent.
similar,
That would say
the
something
Elgin
about.
Watch Factory.
Yeah, yeah. It would say
They
something
reuse some of
about.
the bricks. They put, not that I think it does it any justice, but they
Yeah.
have a couple of things on the entrance of that strip mall.
Yeah, yeah. You know, something that describes what was there, as
Right.
opposed to just a
I
plaque.
like that idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty common, but sometimes you need to include it because if you don't include it, some
And
people
they
won't
do
do it.
have one actually already in West Dundee for the guy who founded the Pinkertons. His house was there, torn down. There's a plaque saying he lived there.
Is that the one along the river?
It's up on the hill, going up. It's the Yates Building now. It's that
Oh, the old Hager Mansion.
No, it's in West Dundee on the south side. As you're going up the hill, there's a big
I
plaque
need a
the Boy
tour.
Scouts put up for the
Yeah.
Pinkerton, you know, living there when he was to Dundee. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But his house is gone. That's the new building.
Okay. Any other thoughts on demolition? It's, again, one of the shorter chapters, but it's still important. Okay. Yeah, those are the 3 chapters that we were supposed to cover tonight. Our next meeting in December will cover signs, site and setting. That's kind of what you were talking about, Commissioner Scarpelli, about kind of the property around the buildings. And then public improvements, that's anything on the sidewalk or the public right away. So,
Good.
yeah, thanks for the discussion. This is a little bit shorter, partly because a lot of it's behind the scenes and it kind of the minutia that you probably don't want to get into until we have stuff to react to.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And I guess that's next.
Okay, so moving on to our next item of business. Could I have a motion to open the public hearing for a request for a special use for 24-hour per day operation of outside vehicle parking and storage as described in section 157.065A101 of East Dundee zoning code for the property located at 900 Christina Drive, East Dundee, Illinois 60118 in the M1 manufacturing district.
So moved.
I'll second.
Commissioner Feck?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick?
Yes.
Chair Brunner?
Yes. Okay, so Franco, did we get any emails or calls in regards to this special use? Okay. It appears the petitioner is here, so I would appreciate you taking your appeal to the...
Yeah, of course. David Tombers, I represent Timber Hill Group.
one
We'll need him to...
One second, sorry. If you want to speak as well, or if anyone wishing to be heard during this public hearing, raise your right hand. And you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. If you want to, one at a time, just state your names for the records. And if you guys want to say it in the mic, that'll be great for the minutes purposes.
Sure. David Tombers.
If you want to say it in the mic, because it's recorded.
Yep.
Terry Lynch.
Thanks.
Jeff Newing.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Everyone at home thanks you.
Yes. Thank you.
And Caleb. Actually, I'm doing the minutes.
Okay. Great. Okay.
Yeah, David Tombers, Managing Director of Acquisitions. I represent Timber Hill Group. We're a local investor, owner, operator of industrial properties and logistics-related real estate. We're requesting a special use permit for the 24-acre parcel at 900 Christina, for a 24-hour per day operation of outside vehicle parking and storage. We will adhere to all of the conditions of the proposed permit. The proposed use will further diversify the industrial base of the village and potentially fill a large vacancy that will be coming up here in a couple months at the property. it also will fill a strong need for the trucking community in the industry. Just here is a few other projects that we've done recently. This first one is a 20-acre parcel in Jacksonville. It was a build-to-suit for Norfolk Southern Railroad to park trailers and trucking on that site. Very clean and clear site, stabilized materials, securitized, lit, very safe. The same thing in Memphis, Tennessee is a managed truck parking asset, 53 acres, stabilized material, doesn't create dust, fenced, very safe, lit, and securitized, very similar to what we have proposed here. This is another project that we've done recently in South Florida. Same thing, 60 acres, should be about 1,000 truck parking spaces, stabilized materials, lit, securitized, fenced, security cameras, everything. So very similar to what we're proposing. This is the site in question, 24-acre parcel, currently being occupied by Enterprise Car Rental, used to manage their current truck rental fleet as well as their car rental fleet, with a small maintenance building up front and office. So, what we plan to do with the property is basically keep it as is. The materials and the surface are very good, in great shape, do not create any dust or run off into the right-of-ways. What we do plan on doing is remodeling the office portion of this building a little bit, just to amenitize it a little bit, and create a lounge for truckers to come and eat and have like a break room. We also plan on creating, this portion of the property has maintenance bays in it. We plan on retrofitting the maintenance so that it accommodates larger vehicles to be parked in here to maintain their vehicle. One of the variances that we were requesting, if we were to get the maximum width variance, is to provide access on the southern end of the parcel so the tenants and truckers can easily and safely access this part of the property. We also, the blue lines, plan on introducing and renovating and putting interior fencing to further delineate truck bays and truck parking for their tenants, just so it's a very, very optimized and strategic and nice for them to park on the site. We also plan on installing security cameras as per the required condition of the special use. Again, the request for the special use for 24-hour operation of outside vehicle parking. We think it'll increase the future, diversify the industrial base within the village, and basically fill a need and fill a vacancy. The variances that we were requesting. The first one is for the driveway access to accommodate the southern portion and trucks to go safely in and out and access the rear of the property. The second variance is to basically keep the condition of the surface as is. Right? It's in very good condition. It doesn't create any dust, and there is no runoff into the right of way. So feel that keeping it as it is in as is condition is what we're trying to request here. And then the third variance is for the screening and landscaping on the northern end of the property. So the northern end of the property currently has fencing, and there's a 20-foot access road between where trailers would be parked and where the residential zoning begins. So there is already, in our opinion, adequate screening and barrier between where the multifamily or zoning or residential zoning would be from where the trailer parking might be. There's also no plans or future plans proposed to develop residential on that site. The fourth variance is for to keep the lighting as is as well, right? The current lighting is very directed onto the site. There is no lighting that spills off into adjacent sites. So the request is to keep the lighting as is and on 24 hours for safety reasons for both what would normally be a lit or a dark parking lot. I think the lighting being on all the time, focused solely on our property, will increase the safety of the parking lot.
Okay, so I think we can stop. I see you have the additional slides.
Yeah,
We
just
can take- this
pictures
is-
in case you want to take a look.
Yeah,
at it.
yeah, which we will totally go through when we go through, I think, the variance. We have, several public hearings. So this is the first one just on the special use.
Sure.
So we can take like what you just said as like an introduction to the overall project, which I think is useful for us granting the special use, but we'll go through each of the other bits.
Okay.
In detail
their specific variance here.
Okay,
Okay?
great.
Yeah, so then it'll all be lined up, right testimony in the right hearing.
Okay.
So, with that being said, do we have any questions for him in regards to the 24-hour use? This first one is just about granting special use, and it's not tied to any particular business.
Actually, I do have a question. In terms of, if it's 24-hour parking, is there going to be someone on site, like monitoring, making sure there's nothing happening?
There's
or-
a security gate out front.
There is a security gate?
Yeah, that's correct.
Is it a manned 24 hours?
During the day, it would be manned.
During the day, but not during the night?
Correct. The entrance to the entire park is manned, and we have security cameras. From what we've learned owning 20 of these assets across the country, night trips are extremely minimal.
Is there any rules that after parking, truckers are hanging out there? I mean, can you be expecting people sleeping in their trucks, till the next route? I mean, are there rules and regulations? What do you
Absolutely,
guys
yeah,
do?
absolutely not. There would be no sleeping or sleeping quarters on site whatsoever.
Okay, is the lounge open 24/7?
Right now, that is the plan, to have key card access for the lounge.
Okay. Do you guys sell any food, vending machines?
There will be vending machines on site, yes.
So yeah, I guess then if they were in the lounge 24/7, there's no reason why they couldn't go back to their trucks, right?
Outside of the rules
Yeah.
being
You can't go.
clearly stipulated.
Okay.
How is the rules enforced? Like after hours when there's no security?
Property management, right?
Property
Yeah,
management?
exactly. Having people monitoring the property, security cameras on site.
How many spaces do you,
Approximately 480.
and what is this for your client or for the owner? Is this considered a temporary use? Do they have,
We would be a landlord in managing this operation.
okay. And I guess in a 20-year futuristic picture, is this proposed use, do you intend to carry it on for a period of time, or is there some other end use to the property?
I mean, obviously, we're investors, right? So if the highest and best use of the property becomes something different, we're open to developing it into something that's of the highest and best use of the property.
So, one of the things here, Franco, you put in, all spots must be labeled and easily identifiable, or staff put that in. Do we have anything in regards to specific aisle widths or things like that? For this, is that going to fall within just building code restrictions?
I mean, the aisle was typically not for this type of parking,
Yeah.
for truck parking for storage.
Yeah,
I mean, they're gonna need what they need to get trucks in and out.
Yeah.
Which is quite a bit of space, but
because when I see the identifiable, I know one of the issues we've had with truck parking is like the fire department having an issue getting back there and finding
good point.
how to get there,
Yeah.
with the lighting to get there.
Sure, obviously.
And we have truck fires out there.
Of course, the conditions of the use permit will be followed and have adequate width out and access for fire departments to access the back of the
they do
property.
have this information. the fire
Okay.
district.
And the fire, as far as you know, they're
They had discussed some things about hydrants or something, like there was one hydrant that they wanted adjusted or turned around or a gate put in or something for them to get access.
Okay.
Is that correct?
I'm unaware
Okay,
of that.
okay. Yeah, they've been communicating with,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the fire department granted them a variance on their code of how many hydrants are needed because it's behind the building. The fire department granted them the variation where they didn't need the fire hydrant behind
yeah,
the
they had
building.
two hydrants on the property, one in the parking lot and one on the north side of the building.
is that a better situation than some of our other lots?
Their new code requires them every 300 feet,
Okay.
so this would not meet their new code, but they're giving them a variance on that.
How would the spaces be marked? It kind of looks like it's a
Brand?
compressed aggregate.
Yeah, delineated with striping and jersey barriers, separating each of the parking places. Is the
Just
plan- has it
paint
been-
striping, is
That's
that
correct.
going to last? aggregate?
We restripe and then also have jersey barriers as well that have
Mhm.
numbers on the
Okay,
jersey
in
barrier.
between each
Yeah,
spot?
delineated with numbers on the jersey
Mm,
barrier, yeah,
okay.
correct. Very similar to the truck parking assets that are next door.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close it.
Did the Pell Group's comments in the public hearing?
I don't, if you would like to comment in this one, I think this isn't the variances. To me, what you were talking about isn't really applicable to 24-hour businesses. This could be another 24-hour business that didn't require variances, and I would assume you wouldn't have issues with it. Okay, so we'll talk in the variances then? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
I'm sorry, who was the
A second.
I thought Charlie did.
I made a motion.
Oh, you made a motion, okay then.
I will second.
I got your second. Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick?
Yes.
Chair Brunner?
Yes. So with this one, I mean, it is talking a little bit, I guess, about the variances that we're going to have later on in the hearing tonight. So they are linked that way. But I mean, in general, 24-hour business there. We have other 24-hour businesses in that area, right? So it's not that's not an abnormal, I think, request. People doing similar things. Does anyone have some thoughts on just this as a 24-hour?
I think it kind of matches the area.
Yeah.
We have
No,
24-hour parking.
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I didn't see the findings of fact posted in.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm not opposed to the 24-hour operation. I do have some opposition to the length of time of the special use permit. I'd like to limit it to possibly a 2-year period and then renewable by the applicant every 2 years. I just don't. I see the trend, and I mean, he's an investor, and highest and best use, and I know I've stated this at other special use hearings for this same exact use is I mean, to me, they're going to bring in close to $2 million a year in revenue. I don't know what their expenses are other than real estate taxes, but at $2 million a year, the property would probably sell for $2 or $3 million. So I never see this truck parking ever going away. They're gold mines, and I don't want the village to look like a sea of truck parking on the way it's currently done. And when we get into the variations, I'll talk more about my issues there, but I just think that it should not be a forever special use.
Well, I think there's a lot to be said about that suggestion, specifically because the 24-hour isn't tied to any specific type of business.
Well, it says right there, vehicle.
Oh, well, the special
It's-
use is just 24-hour operation in the code. That's what they'll be doing on it. And we would have to say the restriction is for vehicles. We can do that. But I didn't see that as a condition.
Yeah, it's tied to vehicle parking, 24-hour vehicle parking. And A101 is the last section of the special use table,
Yeah, isn't it that?
which is, if you look right there, it says similar and compatible uses to those listed as special uses. And the way the village historically in the past, over the last several years, has been interpreting vehicle parking follows under there as similar and compatible uses to other special uses. So that's how they make it.
So is it?
It's a
Yeah, I mean,
combination of both.
if you want to grant 2 special uses,
Yeah.
one for the 24-hour operation, I'm fine with that forever and ever. But with regard to the vehicle parking, that's where I want to limit I want to make it
It's a combination of of A101.
So this is A1. Oh,
Yeah, and everything that falls
and,
under it.
oh, and everything under it.
You
Okay,
see
those three.
Correct. So you got,
Okay.
$24.
Okay, I see. So it's like three special uses we're granting them?
No, not quite. It's the section is A101.
Yeah.
It's the special use, but it's for 24-hour vehicle parking.
Okay.
I'd have to agree with Commissioner Scarpelli. I think that we're seeing this trend come and come and come, and then I think that there's towns that are doing this the right way.
Yeah.
And I think that we are just kicking this can down the road. I think we all want East Dundee to, when we're coming into town and bringing our family members who have never been here before, what do we want to introduce them to? What do we want to introduce future homeowners to, future business owners to? It's hard to say that this is a good look for us and a good moneymaker for us, in my opinion. And like I said, there's a neighboring town who is doing this the right way. They're paving everything. It's well lit. It looks professional. Now, I don't like putting chains on people, on business owners, on landowners. I think that they should do what they well please, right? But at the same time, nothing's forever. I don't think that it's our place to grant that for forever use. 24 hours, yeah, let's give this a try and see how it goes. But I think we're doing something similar with the processing material, adjacent to this. If they come back every year and we kind of check in, I think that that's keeping tabs on it. I think that would be appropriate.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, so is there any other than comments on this? Okay, so let's go through the findings of fact real quick. So we have and it's not in the packet, right?
It is.
It is.
Okay.
It's online.
Yeah, okay, great. So we'll go through these questions. I think we'll go through. So the first one, the use is not injurious to the use or enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the uses already permitted or substantially diminish and impair property values within the neighborhood. I think the statement is yes. We're saying it's like what things that are around it. Use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding property for uses in the permitted district. 24 hours, light, business operation. So I think that's also a yes. I'm going to go through these. Anyone jump out if they disagree.
Okay.
Adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, or necessary facilities have been or will be provided. Yes. We'll have that variance, but it can work as is. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress. So it was designed as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. Yes. How is it proposed special use in harmony with the purposes, goals, objectives, policies, and standards of the Village of East Dundee Comprehensive Plan and Zoning Ordinance, any other plan, program, or ordinance adopted or under consideration pursuant to the visual notice by the village? So it's our standard 2002 to bring a diversified employment base, which will provide jobs and strengthen the economy of East Dundee. So I'm fine with that one. So we agree then to accept the findings of fact as presented in the packet?
Yes.
Yes.
So could I have a motion to approve the findings of facts as listed in the packet and with the answers we just reviewed?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Fike?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stenning?
Yes.
Chair Brunner?
Yes. So 6-0, right?
6-0, 1 absent.
Okay, and then I would entertain then a motion to recommend approval of the special use for a 24-hour per day operation of outside vehicle parking and storage as described in section 157-065A101 with the following conditions. All parking spots must be labeled and easily identifiable. A security camera system must be in place. The condition of the grounds must be in satisfactory condition for the building inspector and for first responders to access. And with the additional restriction that this special use is valid for 2 years with a review period before the board.
So,
Can I add one additional?
Sure.
That the property owner or user not file a real estate tax equalized assessed valuation case while the special use is in place.
I withdraw my motion. I think we need to talk about that.
Okay.
Can we, yes, I didn't make it, I said I was entertained, so there's no motion, I'm just stop talking. So, okay. Do you want to explain why you want to add that restriction?
Well, I just, if these properties are gonna exist as parking lots, there's not a lot of value there, but the assessor is able to assess value based on the income approach. And I just think if we're going to sell our village control of this land to essentially truck parking, and that's what the use is gonna be forever into the near or far future, is if a assessor values it based on an income approach, that might be a difficult fight, but it might also be an easy fight in that there's no structure, there's no land improvements there in which to support that other than the income approach. And I mean, when TIF districts are created and things like that are done, that language is pretty common, that the applicant or the recipient to the any of the TIF stuff is just not able to fight a real estate tax assessment.
Okay,
I agree with that.
nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion with that?
Well, sure, yeah. So, it would just be that we would grant the special use based on the items that staff had mentioned, as well as the 2-year time period, and that during the time the special use is in force, the applicant would not be able to file a real estate assessment tax protest with the local assessor.
Do you want to file a motion with that?
What's that?
Do you want to file or do you want to make a motion?
Yeah.
So motion to recommend the special use
Yes.
with the additional conditions.
With the conditions that staff had, plus the 2 additional conditions, one being the time period and the other being the
EAV.
assessment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Feck,
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher.
Yes.
Commissioner Myers,
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick,
Yes.
and Chair Brunner.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so on to our next item of business. May I have a motion to open a public hearing on the variance requesting release from section 157147B2 requiring that no driveway across public property shall have a width exceeding 24 feet excessive of curb returns located at 900 Christina Drive, East Dundee, Illinois 60118 in the M1 Manufacturing District.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Stenick, second. Myers, Commissioner Feck,
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher.
Yes.
Commissioner Myers,
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick,
Yes.
Chair Brunner.
Yes. So, did we get any emails or calls in regards to this?
No.
Okay, and everyone's sworn in now, so we're good to go. So let's talk about the driveway entrance.
Yes, I mean, essentially, if we're going to further delineate the parking spaces, like per some of the conditional use, we need to have a drive aisle that allows our tenants to access this part of the property, and obviously this is the logical place for that, so.
So there's a current drive aisle to the north of that.
That's correct. This is only not wide enough to accommodate the trucks to go through the drive aisle through here.
Mhm.
We need it to be, I think, 30 feet to accommodate.
Yeah, is then the one on the other side of the green space there?
Yeah,
a giant?
that's correct. But then the fencing
Yeah.
would preclude from
And how wide is that one?
I think it's probably about the same. I'm unsure.
It's like 30?
Yeah, no, the same as this drive out here. No, actually, this one may be wider.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's like two.
Can't zoom in on it.
What's the material going to be?
The front drive aisles, as it is now. I believe that this portion of is aggregate asphalt.
So, the reasoning to do this is just to get access to that back area.
That's correct.
And without this, I mean, you could still get trucks in there. How would you get trucks in there?
They would probably have to access it through here. You would lose some acreage here and other tenant use and have to come around the front end of the building
Yeah.
and make this kind of difficult turn for trucks.
Right. So the variance allows you to get more parking on your property.
And have trucks safely navigate the property, I would say.
Okay.
So not paved asphalt.
That's correct.
Is that accurate?
The only part that's paved currently is this right here.
Mhm. I'd like to see that paved personally. I mean, that's gonna be used every single day with hundreds of trucks. These trucks make money on the street every morning, every afternoon. I don't, is that much
Yeah,
to
but
ask for,
it's
to pave that part, to then access gravel parking?
Well, Commissioner Meyer, I don't disagree with you, although I guess the paving, is that need to take place within this section
think
for
it's-
this,
Yeah.
or is it a part of the other variance?
It could be a partial of this one, but it sounds like the applicant just wants the variation from this code to be the width of the
Yeah.
driveway.
Width of the driveway.
Yeah, yeah.
So the placement of it, the condition of it and all that would be handled in a
Yeah, if you
different-
look at
yeah.
the next one over, that is the required the compacted base, not to equal
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, we could have that different requirements for the entrance.
the. But you certainly
as
could if
well.
you want. It's part of it if you could. But the applicant is only requesting the
The width.
Specifically the width. And really, they could put it anywhere they want. I mean, unless we specifically
Unless you-
grant it to an area, they could put it anywhere they want.
Kelsey, have you seen variations be site-specific on a parcel? Is that possible? So in this case, the variation is they're seeking relief from the 24-foot requirement. They want the 30-foot wide drive aisle. Can you, in an ordinance, when it comes to the board, can they make it site-specific on this parcel that it's only over, on the southern part and the entrance to the parcel off of Christina?
I mean, typically you would present it as a site plan and it would have to adhere to the site plan without involving the parcels specifically. I'd have to check and see if
Yeah.
you could do that. But I can
Currently,
add
this
that.
entrance is to facilitate the parking lot, which is all paved. The actual gravel millings don't start until this part of the property line. So from here towards the street is already paved parking lot.
They're looking to make an existing access point wider. It's 18
Right.
feet now, they want to go to 30 feet. So it's already paved now. They would still have to, in my opinion, still have to follow the building code.
So are you asking whether we can
Over the road.
put these conditions on a specific part of the parcel as opposed to the site plan
Right.
in its entirety?
Right.
No, using the site plan, I believe, would be the best.
So that, I don't know that there's any, I'd have to check, but I don't know that there's a real need to do it outside of the
Okay.
site plan,
Okay.
but I can check if you want to
Yeah.
be that specific
In the
about it.
past, we've passed ordinances that had site plans attached.
Yeah.
Where it's specifically designated where special use is. So maybe we could do something like that if it's a concern of the PZHC
Yeah.
board.
So, Chris, why do we have the 30-foot? And why do we have the 24-foot?
It's just in our code.
Yeah, there's no.
There's no rhyme or reason. I mean, it's beneficial for residential lots, so that you don't get massive
Big trucks.
Yeah, yeah.
wide entry points
Yeah.
into the road. For industrial, it doesn't make much sense, but it doesn't delineate
Mhm.
between the two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Do we have any other questions for the applicant in regards to this?
No.
Is that, and I don't know if we're gonna get into the placement of it with this variance request, but is that current place that you're looking to put it on your southern boundary?
It is.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're looking to expand the existing drive.
That's correct.
It's 18 feet wide now.
Okay.
So there wouldn't be.
But it's on the south boundary?
Yeah, it's the south.
Okay.
Right
south
off
entrance.
Christina, right?
Yeah, correct.
If you want to put your mouse, I don't know if you could.
Yeah, it's this entrance right here, which is fully paved for the parking field. And then asphalt gravel milling starts from this point forward. Like, very similar to what the rest of this is as well.
So with their other entrance, did you go out there and measure that one? Do we know how wide the other one is?
It's at least 30 feet.
This one's an ingress and egress with a security gate already in place.
Does that make a difference? If it's an ingress and egress, like double with a partition?
No, I mean, you're,
It's the cut on the curve?
no, I mean, 18 feet allows both, for standard motor vehicles, is plenty wide, but for semis to try and get in there, and they'd be in the grass, in the right of way every time they turn in.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, do we know if there was a way, a variance to allow then a larger?
I don't know, it could have just
Yeah.
been approved through the site plan that they did, it could have
Yeah.
been a variance, it's
Yeah.
hard to tell.
Okay.
Guess a question for Chris, playing devil's advocate. If everything's granted the way the applicant is requesting, how would you tell if it's all asphalt grindings? I mean, unless they put a...
No, it would have to be paved.
What's that?
This would have to be paved. This could not be.
Well, unless the next variance is granted where they get a waiver
No,
on
no,
all...
I think you'd have to specify that the access points would have to be, it's already paved now, they're gonna make it wider, it still has to be paved all the way back to where the asphalt grindings begin.
Well, right, but right now, as the applicant has explained, that entire southern boundary is all just asphalt
No,
grinding.
it's not.
I thought it was just the entrance of the southern
This
access.
is paved.
That's paved, nothing else is paved.
This is paved.
Right, there's a parking lot there.
This is a parking
Well,
lot.
that's paved, but they want to extend this all the way back to the far western edge of the property on the southern boundary.
They wanna extend what?
The access
The
road.
access drive lane.
Yeah, but it's already there, you can already drive all the way back.
I know, but how do you differentiate the drive lane from the parking spaces today?
Why would you have to? Once you're granting them an access point 30 feet wide, once you get past that.
Oh, so this is just at the access? This is not all the way along the...
No, they can make that as wide as they want, it's all
Okay,
asphalt grind, they
okay.
can make that 50 feet wide
Okay,
if
so
they
this
want.
is just at where it meets the street.
From the street to the property line, the maximum you could go is 24 feet. Once you get to the property line, you can go 100 feet wide.
Okay, so
Once
this
you
is
get to
just,
private
this
property.
is essentially the curb cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Okay.
says no driveway across public property shall
Okay.
have a width exceeding 24
Okay.
feet.
Okay, so whatever's within the right of, from the edge of the asphalt of Christina Drive to the edge of the right of way is all that this is
Correct.
granted? Okay, I'm
Just
sorry, I
these
thought
two
this was the drive lane all the way to the back edge of the
These two.
property.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right by Enterprise, run currently.
Okay. Any other questions for the?
Okay, well, I guess so then the existing, this existing curb cut on public property is at your southern boundary.
That's correct.
And then they have a separate one on the northern boundary. Not the north, in the middle.
That's where your cars are going.
Right.
But it would also be anyone accessing that first truck lot, right, or no?
No, I believe trucks will go this way to access this. This will be for our
Standard
truck.
Because it's wider?
This will be for the parking.
Yeah, it's much
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah.
You have about 100 stalls for standard vehicles.
Up in this area?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
So the three truck stalls will only be accessed from that south drive? the way
Correct.
you have it
To
presently.
the back.
Franco, do you know, or Chris, do you know? And I'm sure it predates all of you, did the current user or owner of the, well, not the current, I guess the former, did Enterprise, when they came in, did they receive a variance from any green space setbacks? I just find it odd that the curb cut is right up against
Yeah.
the southern boundary with no setback.
I think we only found a sign variation tied to this property.
Okay,
Okay.
Growing pains.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
No.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close.
I think you have an option to rebuttal if you'd like after the discussion.
What was the
Well,
decision?
we've never done that. So I mean, you can respond in the public
Yeah.
hearing to what we just said, but we're gonna have a discussion after the
Yeah.
public hearing. So if
After
you want to
close
respond to anything that we said.
Yeah, no
now
comment.
you can.
No comment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So a motion to close then the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Commissioner Peck,
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher.
Yes.
Commissioner Myers.
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick.
Yes.
And Chair Brunner.
Yes.
Okay, so, anyone's thoughts on this one? Get going?
I think I'm okay with it as long as we're not placing it anywhere on the property. I mean, the placement of, I'm okay giving them the 30 feet. The placement of it, in my eyes, has to move, but I don't know that this is the, since we're not, well, I don't want to put any placement of the 30 feet within the site plan.
Can you expound?
Well, yeah, I just feel that, I mean, if they move forward with this, they're gonna have to move that curb cut to a distance of 15 to 20 feet off of the southern property line.
North?
North, yeah, north.
So we kind of, yeah, I mean.
You know, I mean, I want to see a setback of 15, 20 feet, and I want that to be green or plants or something, a berm.
Well, if they started at the southern point and went north, they would have to add 12 feet to the north and leave the existing southern portion where it is. Is that what you're talking about? So
No,
the-
I want the first 15 feet minimum to be curbed, and then the curb cut would go from 15 feet north, 30 feet, so it would end up being from 30 to 45 feet, or, what?
15 to 45.
From 15
Can
to
you-
45 feet would be the curb cut onto Christina.
Does it help to mark it up?
Are you saying off the property line?
Off the southern property line.
Maybe we have a Google.
In your
Map.
slides, do you have
I
a,
mean-
No.
in your slides, do you have this picture you could show us so we could all look at what he's talking about?
I could help.
Just right here.
Or just that one?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're saying-
Franco.
Have this entrance up here.
Yeah,
So it's a barrier.
the 24-foot entrance could grow by 6 feet, but the whole entrance needs to shift north by 15 feet.
Yeah. So what criteria are they hitting in your mind to warrant the variance?
Just the fact that the business they're in, I feel that our code is inadequate when it comes to semis.
Yeah, so I agree. I think that's what needs to come out of
It's
this,
before
is
then.
if 30 feet is what is needed for this business,
Right.
it should be allowed.
Right.
We don't want to allow this business.
That's it.
But I have a hard
Oh,
time saying that's a variance
Oh.
justification. You know, I
Yeah.
think, you know, it's one where I would expect the folks on the board to be able to say, well, they're being unfair.
Right. Yeah, so, well, I mean, I guess to me, their hardship is that in the business they're in, operating, if you had a semi leaving and a semi coming in,
Yeah.
24 feet is just inadequate.
Yeah, but then of course it would hit our variance thing where would somebody else doing the same thing ask for the same variance, and they absolutely would.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I feel staff or the village should direct staff to bring an amendment to our building standards for the manufacturing.
Yeah, I
business.
100% agree. That should be the
Follow
outcome
along
of
around that
this.
here.
Yeah, I think so.
One way or another.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So just to the council, per this, the green space that's already existing from the southern border to the southern edge of the drive out is already 15 feet. So
Okay.
So extending that aisle 30 feet to the north access.
Okay, yeah, well,
Would be
yeah,
the request.
yeah, I was just going based on your testimony in the public hearing that said that the 24 feet's right up against your southern boundary. So if there's already 15 feet of green space, then,
Okay.
but that'll come forward in the next variance.
Could we bring that one back up? I'm sorry. You can get it probably from the history. So, yeah, because we can see the other driveway, the one on the other side. So that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. that
This is the other thing for me on this property is they have a huge driveway, right? And they want this other one because it will be easier for them to get more cars on the lot. But they have something that can support their business already. To me, that's another anti-variance type of objective. It's not, them getting the variance doesn't prevent them from running this business. They just can't run it exactly the way that they want to.
Right, so in your scenario, they would need more internal roadway.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Which would cost them money. They lose revenue. They
Right.
lose spots. He brought up in the testimony the safer term, but I mean, you could also even take out more spots and make it safe, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
the thought process I'm
Yeah.
Okay, so any other comments on this?
No.
And also for the applicants, just once again, we just make recommendations to the board, based on the way we feel we are assigned to do our duties, so.
Oh, I do have one question.
yeah.
Is there proper lighting into that driveway, at the driveway?
Yes, it's lit.
It's lit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we have then the findings of fact on this one, right? Oh, great, okay. Are we ready to go through the findings of fact?
Sure.
Okay, so the first question is the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the zoning district. I believe, let them finish talking.
Which one? Oh, right here.
So you guys still wanting to discuss?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the first question, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in that zoning district. We have an answer of yes here. I believe this should be a no because I think it still can make a reasonable return even without this.
Yep.
So I have a no on that one unless,
No, I think you're right. No, I agree.
okay, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. This is a no, so I agree with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Okay. The variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality.
Yes.
That is a yes, I think.
Yes.
We already have a giant 60-foot one north of it.
Mm-hmm.
The particular physical surroundings, shape, or topographical conditions of the specific property involved would bring particular hardship upon the owner as distinguished from a mere inconvenience if the regulations were strictly enforced. Particular physical So no, the physical surroundings aren't bringing on a particular hardship.
Mm-mm.
So no, I think is the correct answer for us here, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The conditions on which the petition for variation is based would not be applicable generally to other properties within the same zoning classification. So also that's a no. These are, for being recommended for approval, these are, yeah. I'm just having to carefully read them to make sure. Okay. Would not be. Well, they would be. So, okay. So we agree that's a no.
Correct.
Okay. The purpose of the variation is not based exclusively upon the desire to make more money out of the property. Okay, that's also a no because we think it is. The alleged difficulty or hardship has not been created by any person living or presently having interest in the property. No. granting the variation will not be detrimental to the public welfare and injurious to other property or improvements in the neighborhood in which the property is located. I think yes, it's correct there. The proposed variation will not impair an adequate supply of light or air to adjacent property or substantially increase the danger of fire or otherwise endanger public safety or substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood. So yes. So we agree then on this, other than the first question, switching from yes to no, correct?
Correct.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the findings of fact as provided by staff with the one alteration of the answer to question 1 changes from yes to no?
So moved.
I'll second.
Commissioner Fett?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick?
Yes.
Chair Brunner?
Yes. Okay, now for the motion. I can make my motion, but it would be.
Right, well, no, I have a question of staff for either Franco or Chris. Why did we not ask the applicant to apply for a variance on the existing curb cut that's obviously, the northerly one, that's obviously in violation of our codes?
I'm not sure that it is. I mean, it could have been approved at some point during the development of the property. I don't know whether or not a variance was granted at the time.
Okay, I thought the only variance was for
I didn't
signage.
see anything.
That's the only thing I could find, but
Okay.
that I don't know what they approved when the site plan was approved. It was an approved site plan, it was all inspected prior to me,
Okay.
Franco being here. I don't.
Yeah, no, I'm not,
I don't know what
I
they
guess
did.
I'm just, I mean, I would think that a property owner would want to make sure that the village couldn't come and issue them a code violation after they're up and running, that the village overlooked something 30
But,
years
yeah,
ago.
if there's an existing approved site plan and construction plans that had that design on there and it was approved, there must have been some process that they went through. I don't know.
Okay.
So I would entertain a motion to recommend denial of the for the variation requesting relief from 157147B2.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion and a second.
Commissioner Feck?
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Reyes-Braher? Sorry, Commissioner Reyes-Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick?
Yes.
And Chair Brunner?
Yes. So motion to recommend. Okay, moving on to the next public hearing. A variance requesting relief from section 157149B requiring surfacing for all open off-street parking areas shall be approved with a compact Madcom base or equal, not less than 4 inches thick, surface with asphaltic concrete or comparable hard surface, all-weather dustless material as approved by the village located at 900 Christina Drive, East Dundee, Illinois 60118 in the M1 Manufacturing District.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Feck?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick?
Yes.
Chair Brunner?
Yes. So did we receive anything in regards to this variance request?
No.
So no emails, no calls. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the surfacing.
Yeah, our request is to keep the surfacing as is. I mean, there has been no complaints of any dust at any of my site visits and or any runoff onto the right-of-ways with crushed compacted asphalt. Just keeping it status quo. So it's very similar to all of the surrounding properties.
So in terms of why you wouldn't want to pave it, why don't you want to pave it?
Because it's okay as it sits today. It's not impeding any of the operations. It hasn't impeded any of the operations of the prior tenant. It won't impede any of the operations of our future use.
Any questions on this topic?
I don't have any questions.
I guess you realize there are conditions that we have to proceed through in order to grant variances in that, and one of them is a hardship. I guess what is your hardship in not wanting to pave it?
I guess the additional work and labor it would take to change the current surface of the property.
We have one guideline that says we can't approve a variance if it's just for saving money. So, well, like I said, though, the board isn't bound by that, but we are.
Right. Either Chris or Franco, is the Great Big Lake at the north end, maybe the gentleman from Cal can answer, is the Great Big Lake at the north end that got exposed when they mined the gravel there, is that the current retention that covers all of this manufacturing and or residential property? Yes, correct.
It is, yes. For the
It is,
subdivision.
okay. So whether it's gravel or pavement or whatever, that pond is, I realize the pond probably stretches for
We'll call it a lake.
50 or 60 miles under the ground, north, south, east, and west, is that is sized adequately to handle whether the surface is gravel and somewhat pervious or impervious with asphalt or concrete.
If they were to do asphalt or concrete, that would require a permit, which would have to be reviewed by the village engineer.
Okay.
And subsequently, if there were any issues with the runoff or the stormwater, that would have to be addressed at that time, whether or not additional storage may have to be provided on that lot for that parking.
Any other questions?
Can I talk about, there was another project that we approved. Would that pertain, can I bring that up here or? later?
We can bring it up in our discussion. I mean, we should
Okay.
ask him if
any
they-
questions?
if and if there's this
okay.
any information from the
No.
applicant.
I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
No questions.
Anything else you'd like to say?
No.
Okay, fantastic.
Do we have other
Yeah. if you-
public comment that wants?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
100% can right now if you don't mind coming up to the microphone.
Sure. Thank you.
Mhm.
I don't want to repeat myself, but again, Jeff Newing. Sorry if I made my presentation at the wrong moment. I just bring up that, the board here is granted in 2014 and 2022. They enacted ordinances waiving certain parking lot requirements similar to what is being discussed tonight for truck parking, grindings, without curbing, typical parking lot landscaping or illumination, all of those are waived. However, in ordinance 1441, it stated that this waiver shall no longer apply to any portion of the waiver area that may hereafter be developed with the building or any other site improvements pursuant to the site plan. Also in 22 parking waiver, the village stated the waivers were limited as to expire on or after May 2nd, 2052. Here, the petitioner is seeking to get permanent variances approved, which are the same waivers granted to Pal Land, but these variances will never expire. Also, the variance requests do not meet the standards for the variances in your ordinance, specifically no unique circumstances regarding the 24-acre parcel. There's nothing in the 24-acre parcel or shape or topography that results in particular hardship. And there's no conditions present with respect to 24-acre property that requires the variations for its productive use. It could be used for other things. As you know, Pale Land has been developing this land for many years. We're 5 buildings strong now, 6 building on the way. Our agreements with the village was getting these waivers and continuing to develop the land, and that's what we are continuing to do. Thankfully, we're getting a couple restaurants in our strip mall, which hopefully will be open in a couple months. And we're getting our truck maintenance building on the north end of the property completed this next spring. The petition seeks to make this 24-acre site a permanent truck parking area. So, frankly, respectfully, we recommend that you deny it to the village board. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
If you want, you could say something.
Yeah, to respond, I think we would be okay with the 2052 timeframe, just as similar. And we do also have a maintenance building, truck maintenance building on site. So it's very similar to what they're building as far as having a truck maintenance facility on site with additional truck parking, field, yard, whatever you may call it, attached to it. So it's exactly and very similar to what they proposed in our building down the road.
That maintenance building that's already there. That's what you're referring to.
Correct.
Thank you. Then any other questions after, for either gentleman?
Do you or the company that you're representing, would you guys entertain asphalt around that maintenance building? You know, it's going to be getting a lot more use in a lot heavier use than it is now. Enterprise rent-a-cars, different than semi-trucks pulling in and out, doing routine maintenance, preventative maintenance, oil changes. There was a picture that showed that building, if it's easier. So that's not the building that we're talking about,
That's
but
correct.
look at the difference between these buildings, right? And the other one that just had those bays, big bays, semi-truck bays.
Yeah.
And then if you wouldn't mind going to the building that you want to use for semi-truck maintenance. There's
There are already paved drive entries to the store.
yeah, so I'm speaking of, where that Subaru, where that black vehicle is, and what we're looking at here.
There is about a paved buffer into the entrance of the,
I think
of the maintenance space already.
I would think it'd be beneficial for that parking lot to be paved, just so that we're heading in the right direction, permanent semi-truck parking. You guys aren't gonna consider paving anything else. I would think that if they're willing to pave that area, I think it would make the curb appeal much better. They'd be working with us, we'd be working with them to approve this variance.
I mean, if you look at the building from the curb standpoint, this is already paved from the entry right away of the Christina all the way to where this fence line is. So this is already paved. So from a curb appeal standpoint, you don't even see where you're referring to.
Sure, yeah, that's fair.
There was another project that we all reviewed here nearby where the main aisles, we had them do the paving and maybe not the stalls. I thought it was a recommendation we
Yeah,
did.
I don't think that was carried.
No?
Yeah, I mean, no
Okay.
one's had to pave anything
Okay,
in what's been approved at least.
yeah.
And then that parking lot to the north, that's paved.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will be the car lot, correct?
I don't have that pulled up.
Yeah, the one to the north is for the.
It looks to me like semi-truck for what they're showing us. Yeah, truck and trailer stalls,
So let me
7 by.
pull the site plan up just so we can have a
Yeah.
clear
Yeah, we should
idea
talk
of
about the
what
same
we're
thing.
talking about.
Yeah, so they're gonna be parking semis on paved area
Oh, yeah, all the
and
way.
non-paved area in that, in that northeast section. It's
That,
just gonna be-
that is correct.
Yeah.
The part surrounding the building, though, is paved and a parking lot for cars. The part that you're looking at that approaches and borders the northern end
Mhm.
is meant for trailer parking,
Yeah.
which is part paved and part asphalt grindings right,
Yeah.
at the moment.
Here, I got Google Maps up too. That's owned by the cemetery, I believe.
Yeah.
But nothing, not developed. Not enough people.
So you
have
can
filled in yet.
see, the paved areas. This is paved through here and this block right here, but the rest is asphalt mills.
Yeah. Okay. Just so for the rest of the board, I think that it'd be nice to have this paved here.
Mm-hmm.
An opinion of mine. We're not talking about paving that. That's not fiscally.
Well,
They're not going to play with that. But I think paving around that area, I think it would match other bay doors of buildings that where they work on these semis. I think it's food for thought. Maybe the board.
I
Yeah.
agree with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so-
think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, Do we have any more questions here in the public hearing?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion then to close the public hearing.
Okay. Motion.
Second.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick?
Yes.
Chair Brunner?
Yes. So, to your point.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a great recommendation that we can attach to, with staff on how to do things. This is how, we could try to make deals with variations in a recommendation, but ours is just a recommendation. And
Sure.
So I think it's maybe the way I feel most comfortable is following the variance and then saying, but we think, as a compromise, this might be a great thing for the board. We can put that in a recommendation. We can put, like the thing, we should change our village code to allow, 30-foot driveways. We should do all of this stuff. Because
Of course.
we come in here and we hear these same
Uh-huh.
things, and we can see our ordinances out of line with what's being done in this part of the town.
Yeah, so I think,
Yeah.
Chair Bruner, what you're saying is that because the conditions of the variance are not met, we essentially have to deny this to the board, but we can give our comments.
Or recommendation.
Recommendations. And Commissioner Meyer, while what you've suggested is a nice compromise, I guess the thing is that even if we go to 2052 or whatever, that's nearly 30 years. If this was a business coming in that was going to build a building and do whatever, we'd never grant this variance.
No way.
Right, so, I mean, to me, this is not a temporary use, it's a permanent use. And nobody knows whether the PAL group will ever develop residentially north of the property or the cemetery, what they'll do with their property. And I just think that I realize that this village has granted it to other people, PAL Group and others, but I think we got to start somewhere, and this is adjacent to residential and adjacent to other public properties that I could never grant a waiver of the pavement. But
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
So I guess if we move forward with a denial, and we put comments, I would just like those comments added as well.
Yeah, and I'd also, I believe you can always come to a village board meeting and provide
Sure.
your feedback.
Sure, correct, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's definitely something that, I'd like to see movement on.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we have any other discussion on this topic?
No.
No? Okay, so findings of fact on this one. The property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the zoning district. So this one we changed again, this is the one we changed to no, right, on the last one as well.
Can I give clarification on that? What's a reasonable return? What is that? Because you referred to not having any reason for saving money as a reason, but that question directly refers to making money. So I'm just a little confused.
So,
Actually, I think we need to reopen public hearing.
if he's going to comment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We need
so
to make a motion to
do
reopen.
we want to do that? Do we, I mean, this would be a question I would want a lot of guidance in answering it.
Yeah, so I would make a motion to, reopen the public hearing.
Okay. So.
I'll make a motion to reopen the public hearing.
Second.
Hold on. Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick?
Yes.
Chair Brunner?
Yes. Okay, so this is reopened, and if you could ask your question again.
Yeah, just clarification on that particular sentence that you just read in relation to, does this preclude you from making a appropriate return? And how that seems to be in direct non-correlation with the board not being able to recommend anything that's,
So-
for the sole purpose of making
Yeah.
more money on a
So-
variance.
Yeah, so, would you like to address that first, or would you like me to take a
I'm
stab?
sorry, can you repeat it? Sorry, I was-
Yeah, as it relates to your comment earlier about you can't request any variances on the sole purpose of it being financially related to the person requesting the variance, and then that question that's on that sheet of paper seems to mention, does this variance or use case, please, if you could please repeat
Yeah,
that,
it's
read
the
it.
property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in that zoning district.
So those two comments seem to kind of
Yeah.
refute each other.
On one hand, we had the testimony from another person saying a lot of other businesses could work there. Maybe your business can't work there doing that, but somebody could make money on that land doing something different. So the other way I would look at it is when purchasing the land, you purchased it without the variations, and you shouldn't assume you get them. So you should be purchasing it, assuming you can make it with the property as is.
Got it.
That's the way I would look at it.
That's clear for me.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other?
No.
Okay. Okay. Motion to close
close?
the.
I'll
I'll make a
second
motion to
it.
close.
A second.
Commissioner Fech?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanek?
Yes.
Chair Brunner?
Yes. Okay. So the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in that zoning district. And we can say, and we said no on the last one, right? That's what we have to
Correct.
change. And if we want like proof, I guess, is a business did operate there for many, many years without this variance. Right? So, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances? No. The variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality? Yes. Right? Not if
Yes.
granted. Will not alter, correct. All these negatives always catch me up. The particular surrounding shape or topographical conditions of the specific property involved would bring a particular hardship upon the owner as distinguished from mere inconvenience if the regulations were strictly enforced? No. The conditions upon which the petition for variation is based would not be applicable generally to other properties within the same zoning classification? No, we have other people who do that. The purpose of the variation is not based exclusively upon a desire to make more money out of the property? No. The alleged difficulty or hardship has not been created by any person presently having an interest in the property? No. The granting of the variation will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other property or improvements in the neighborhood where its property is located? Will do yes. Will not be detrimental, which is in there. And the proposed variation will not impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property or substantially increase the danger of fire, otherwise endanger the public safety and substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood. So, yes. So, can I have a motion to approve the findings of fact as provided in the packet with the single change of yes to no in question one?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Fech?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanek?
Yes.
Chair Brunner?
Yes. Okay, and then now for the motion. Do we have any more discussion on this? I think we're ready to go. Somebody want to make the motion on this? And
Yeah, I'll-
consider maybe do we want to attach the comments to the motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we.
Were there additional conditions?
We don't have conditions on
Okay.
variances.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'll make a motion that we recommend denial to the village board on the basis of not meeting the criteria that we need to consider, or that need to be met before the Planning and Zoning Commission. And then comments to the village board that should they vary from our decision, that at a minimum, some paving around the existing building would be, that a percentage of the board or that more than one member of the commission felt that that would be acceptable, while there was another member of the commission that felt that the entire parcel should be paved.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, Commissioner Fike?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick?
Yes.
Chair Brunner?
Yes.
Majority of the commission feels that way.
So, okay, on to the next public hearing. This is the fifth public hearing on our agenda, or the fifth item, the fourth public hearing. I would like to open, I would entertain a motion to open a public hearing requesting a variance for relief from section 157149C requiring screening and landscaping for all open automobile parking areas containing more than 4 parking spaces shall be effectively screened on each side adjoining or fronting on any residential or institutional property by a wall or fence not less than 5 feet high or more than 6 feet high, or a densely planted compact hedge not less than 5 feet in height, and wheel stops of masonry, steel, or heavy timber shall be placed not nearer than 5 feet from the street line in districts where front yard is not required, or from side lot lines located at 900 Christina Drive, East Dundee, Illinois 60118, in the M1 manufacturing district. That's long.
Good one.
So I'll need a so moved or something.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. And a glass of water.
Yeah, okay.
Commissioner Fike?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick?
Yes.
Chair Brunner?
Yes. So did we receive anything from the public in regards to this one?
No.
5 feet from the street line.
Okay. So, applicant.
Yeah, I mean, our request is to just operate the property as it has been with as it has for the last, 10, 15 years. We think that having this access road and this screening and fencing right here is adequate to give you 20 feet between the residential zoning code, residential zoned area.
Do you own to the fence or do you own to the far side of the road?
To the fence line.
So somebody else is providing the screening or the setback?
The public access road.
Not less than. So, yeah, so that's the street, so that's what we count as the street line then, is where the street starts?
Well, yeah.
Even though it's public property?
Right, so I guess
It's not public property.
Yeah, it's somebody else's
It's
property.
private, yes.
the road is private property?
Yes,
Is it, but it's not them?
Not them.
Someone else?
right.
Oh.
So I guess the question I have for you is, when Enterprise leaves and the next business comes in, does the next business have to then comply with all of our codes?
It's a good question.
Well, because in all the variances, I didn't see a variance from setbacks. And so even if they got everything that they've come before us for, that's on these public hearings tonight, I don't see a setback from, or I don't see a variance from the setback to
For-
0
For parking.
for anything.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I would think a new business would have to comply with, make the site comply with all current codes. And in addition to all that, we do require a green space setback.
Without having a code right in front of me,
Right.
I'd have to
Okay.
research that.
Okay. But this variance is specific for just screening.
Correct.
Can you paint a picture of what screening is? Is that just
Well,
a mesh that would be covered on a chain
No,
link fence? or-
there's a specifics in the landscaping ordinance of what needs to be done. And if, so all the industrial buildings out there were required to have screening, and then many of them got variances to reduce that screening level to a specific amount.
Mhm.
But they did all have to do some sort of landscaping around the perimeters of those properties. So that's, That was negotiated at the time when those buildings were developed. I don't know if there was one on this one, whether
Yeah.
anything was developed on, negotiated on screening.
So I apologize for this, but I guess I'm confused at what they're looking for a variance on, you know.
From providing any type of landscape screening or any type of screening whatsoever.
Okay.
Is this a wall?
So this variance, if granted, would grant them no screening, but setback could be a completely separate issue.
Yeah, setback for like side yard setbacks, that's what you're discussing?
Yeah, side, front yard.
There's building line setbacks. I'd have to look at the code to see about parking. Because they meet all the building line setbacks with their building.
Right, for buildings, but I
Right.
believe parking is considered an improvement, therefore
Yeah,
needs.
I wanna say that there's setbacks in the front yard for parking, but I'm not crystal clear on the side yard, because most of the buildings out there do park up to the property line.
Right, but I know like on the building that the Cal Group finished maybe 6 months ago that's sitting right on Route 72 that's empty, finished but empty. I know we had side yard setbacks and front and rear yard setbacks.
Does this count as a side yard, even though there isn't that's not a
Yeah,
public
it'd be a
road?
side yard, yeah.
Because it's somehow registered as a road, it's not just like an.
It's not a road.
Not a road,
It's not a front
it's
yard.
just another property owner.
Yeah,
So it's either.
Side yard, but
it's
not
either-
on a corner.
Right.
side yard not on a corner.
Not a corner, right.
Yeah, because that side yard on a corner is a front yard.
So is that picture at the northwest corner?
This is of the, yes, that's correct.
And what do I see further away, besides the trees? Is there residential units? I don't see that in the aerial.
Isn't it?
Is it the cemetery? Okay,
Is
northwest
that the
corner?
cemetery over there?
Well, it's right here.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, we're looking at the same.
Yeah, same thing. Yes.
Mhm.
You can go for it. I'd like not leave it, guys.
We are in need of housing.
Same question as the last one. Do you have a hardship?
The hardship, no hardship other than it's
Okay.
just been operating this way as it has been for the last 10 years. And
It still is.
I do like that it has the
Enterprise.
stops already, that's really nice. You don't run into fence.
is the 24-hour.
Oh, the guardrail.
Yeah, the guardrail, right, yeah, that's a
Yeah,
very
yeah.
sturdy
Most
stop.
of
I
a
mean,
lot of other
Stand up
semi-truck
for M1.
stores, 24
Yeah.
hour, they'll have cement posts for each
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Because if you back in,
Now the semi would go right over that, yeah. See, the Enterprise are the cars.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
So, any additional questions for the applicant?
No. Not for
Okay.
landscaping.
Well, that,
Not for landscaping.
yeah. I'll entertain then a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick?
Yes.
Chair Berman?
Yes. So, I think might be lining up with some of the other things we've talked about tonight, and I would especially
Could
say.
I clarify one thing? In the
Yeah.
code, it does state that off-street parking may be located in yards except front yards or side yards adjoining a street. So the side yards that exist do not adjoin the
It's a
street.
zero?
Yeah.
So it's a zero.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I see that. I knew that street would make a difference. So, so with this one, I do, I will add, when we have had one of these before with screening, this is one that I've heard the board talk a lot about, and they really work through with applicants on. The most recent one we did, which is the Healy one, they really wanted that to look nice from 72. Maybe this one's a little bit different because it's way far back, and people aren't going to ever really see it. But if we do develop the residential, definitely would see it. And it is residential. I think we need to consider that it is residential right next to it.
So I guess a question for Chris, sorry for interrupting. Is that does that specify from zoning district, from one zoning district to another? Because this property is right on the border of, so their face that faces Christina, I would assume is their front yard, and that would be the only thing that, as you read, that they would have to put green space in. But all the other 3 lot lines don't border, one of them, the southern one probably borders manufacturing, but the northerly property line borders residential.
Right.
And the easterly probably borders public land use or
Well,
what?
the westerly is the cemetery, and that's also zoned R1.
Okay,
So this comes into play when you're adjacent to R1, the landscaping requirement.
okay,
So the other lots in there were not
okay.
bordering R1.
Okay, so there is a green space setback at least for the, or green, I don't know, setback's the wrong term. There's a green space requirement
Well,
on the north
they-
property line and the west property line.
The landscaping buffer, they
The
don't,
okay, the landscaping buffer on the north,
And-
the
and-
west, and then the face of Christina.
correct,
The southerly probably would not require anything.
correct.
Okay.
Okay, so then, any other questions, discussions on this topic?
Other than the clarification that you guys gave us, so that's helpful, thank you. I didn't know there was an R1 at the cemetery.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's something that we maybe should, look at. It's weird that this property is R1, right?
Oh, the cemetery?
The cemetery could be R1, that's what it needs to
Yeah.
be, right? But this,
Oh,
right now, I don't know. That should be some, I think we've talked about it with the comp plan of looking at the zoning of this area. Since
right.
I know why it's R right now, but.
Right, although I believe, and this goes back to when I was a trustee, which was 20 years ago, and maybe the gentleman from Palace, you guys, a good part of that open water is slated to be filled, correct?
No.
No?
We're gonna retain most of that water.
You are, okay, because 20 years ago, there was some thought that a good portion of that was going, on the southern end, was going to be filled with clean fill to create home sites, but
The north end,
the north end, okay.
that's where we have been filling.
Okay.
We'll finish in a couple of
Okay.
years and then
Yeah.
start planning home sites.
So
Okay.
yeah, so it makes, for me, I'd be,
Yeah.
future, if this bottom bit, there was some another industrial, some buffer or something.
Yeah, it's far.
Yeah,
There's nothing with
yeah, because they're gonna be building up here,
it. Okay,
so, okay.
it's quite a distance.
Well, where we keep the
Okay.
lake all residential, and
Yeah,
that's just
yeah.
never developed anyway,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, so findings of fact on this one. I think, let me see, could I see the previous
sure.
one that I sent? Oh. So, are we okay with me not reading all of these? And just
I'm
changing the
okay with
first
that.
one
Yes. I'm
from
okay
yes
with
to
that.
no, like we
Mhm.
have on the other ones?
Yes.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion to approve the findings of fact as provided by staff, just with the yes switched to no for question 1.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Feck?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick?
Yes.
Chair Brunner?
Yes. And then, motion, so want to make a motion on this one? No, to request a denial.
I'll-
Oh,
I'll make a motion that we, motion of denial on the basis of failing to meet the criteria of the Planning and Zoning Commission. And the fact that 2 of the borders border residential, and we just need to maintain our ordinances from a manufacturing zoning class to a residential zoning class.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay. Commissioner Beck?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick?
Yes.
And Chair Brunner?
Yes.
Okay. On to the last item on our list. I would entertain a motion to open a public hearing for a variance requesting relief from section 157-149D requiring lighting. That illumination of an off-street parking area shall be arranged so as not to reflect rays of light into adjacent residential districts and street. All lighting shall be extinguished not later than 30 minutes after the close of business of the use being served, except as may be otherwise authorized by Village Board of Trustees located at 900 Christina Drive, East Dundee, Illinois 60118 in that one manufacturing district.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Beck?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick?
Yes.
Chair Brunner?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, this one is a little nuanced because property is well lit. It will maintain to be well lit. I think it's more about when it needs to be extinguished as we get granted the special use permit of 24-hour operation. We would like the property to be lit 24 hours for its safety. We maintain that the light will be not spilling over into adjacent properties and dedicated directly to our property. So it's more for a safety reason during the 24-hour operation.
So yeah, the way I read the fact that you are 24 hours, it just never triggers then. You never close, so it never has to be turned off. It's the way I read
Yeah,
it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we can take that part out. So we do need to talk about though you do believe right now that the light would be going across your boundary onto the residential property?
No, absolutely not.
I would think not. The way that the type of light fixtures that they have there now do not.
Okay.
So this pretty much with the 24-hour use, it becomes a moot point. They don't need this
Okay.
variance at this point because they're not.
Right, yeah.
And if there was an issue, and a complaint was made about lighting, then we can address it and they can adjust their lighting.
Yeah.
But I think this is pretty much a moot point that.
Right,
it's
because
not-
we're saying the light does not, because it's your direct ray.
Yeah, the type of fixtures that they have
Yeah, just
are-
go straight
are,
down and they're
full
far enough
cutoff,
away from the
put up
border.
Full cutoff lighting that
Yeah.
directs it down. So,
But I guess without a variance, then if the lighting that's out there is not adequate, they would have to do whatever to meet the current standard, right? The current code?
a photometric plan would be required if this was a new parking lot.
I guess.
I mean,
the
but this
applicant-
variance doesn't really address that. This part of the code says it won't spill onto residential properties and it will be extinguished no later than 30 minutes after they close. Well, if they don't close,
Right.
and the fixtures, so I think this is not even,
So this only covers the spillover. If the lighting is substandard, then they would have to do something to do that or come before us for another variance.
I don't know that there would be a variance for the photometric end of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
because this is existing already, we're not approving a new parking lot.
Mhm.
I don't think the photometric plan even comes into play.
Do you know who installed
Even
it?
though it's a new business.
Well, there's still parking. The previous business did parking also of their vehicles.
Did Enterprise install those?
Yes.
Really?
Sounds like they did it to our code as well, which is great.
Again, I don't know
Yeah.
if it was.
Okay.
Are these light poles just on the perimeter, or are they throughout the whole parking
I see
area?
a few.
They're not near the perimeter, are they?
No, they're not near the perimeter.
Oh, okay, they're on the interior.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the organization of them, but
Yeah, I
they're
could, yeah, there's,
Yeah,
there
just see
there
one.
seems like, there's more on the northern portion, but if there
Yeah.
were photometrics, I would assume that the southern part of that property line, there's
Yeah.
not sufficient lighting based on what I'm seeing.
well, there's nobody's there.
Why would they turn them on?
You can definitely see them on the north.
You could see the shadows.
Yeah, you can see the shadows on Google
Mhm.
Maps.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some, yeah.
The north does cover it, but the south, based on, because I've done a lot of these type of parking lot lighting for site development, and I just don't, just by seeing it, I don't think there's sufficient lighting on the southern portion of the property.
I think we should probably just go through it.
Yeah, I see the shadows.
See, there's only one
That's,
here.
we're thinking we're gonna go through this anyway.
Center.
Since
Not
it's
even
related to
central,
the thing we
it's up
passed,
here.
but
It's the
the
top
thing we recommended
third.
for approval isn't
Mhm.
guaranteed to be approved.
There's one here,
The board may not approve it.
and then there's another one here.
There's not very many.
No, there's not, there's like five, I think.
Which part are you recommending though?
One.
So
Yeah,
it would
compliance with
be,
the entire
it would
code.
be, if they weren't granted
I
the
know there's
24-hour, you know,
There's like five, but
yeah.
it's not
It
sufficient.
would mean they could keep their lights on even if they weren't allowed to operate 24 hours.
They're using
So
it
by
as part of the lot right
recommending-
now anyway.
Okay.
But again,
Yeah.
although.
By
By
approving
approving
it.
it, you're I mean, you're
Yeah.
making, you're creating a situation in which
Yeah,
they would have a variance from the 30-minute shut-off
yeah.
period.
So if we approved it, we'd have to tie it to the, or, I mean, we're not. I mean, it's just weird with them together with neither of them being set.
Yeah.
Because yes, if special use wasn't approved, they could just leave their lights on all the
Yeah.
time.
If it wasn't approved?
Yes,
No.
if we approved this.
If
the
you
lot-
They would
approve
have
this,
a-
yes.
They would have the
Correct.
variance.
They would have the variance, yes.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's likely what we're.
Okay. So, and I could word it with that.
Yeah.
Logic.
And right now, the code says they can turn on the lights for up to 30 minutes beyond their closing time.
Correct. Yeah, which is great to let people get out.
And I guess if the 24-hour operation is granted, then the 30-minute rule never comes into effect.
Exactly. But we don't have the ability to grant it.
Well,
That's
no,
right.
I know that. So I guess this is only here in case we had limited their operation to 20 hours and. Okay.
Yeah.
I
They did.
I did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think,
I-
I think it's a moot point at this point.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
it,
Yeah,
if it needs
based
light,
on
it's
our
denied.
action of recommending the 24 hours, this is a moot
Well,
point.
yeah, I mean, if they take it though.
If we-
But if they could, in some weird course of events, they could deny the special use but still approve
Yes.
this
Yes.
variance.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think you would need,
Or they
if
could
they
put-
deny it, I think they would need to come back for this piece. If they deny the special use at the board level, they would need to come back
Yeah.
for this piece.
It's tied to
Well, right, but I guess if they're not in business, then I don't know that they have any, if there's not an active business there or a licensed business by the village,
All right. They wouldn't have a occupancy.
then I would think we could give them a code violation for burning lights that aren't in compliance with any business operation.
What were you saying, Marco?
I mean, I don't think they want to pay a ComEd bill to light up a parking lot that's empty, but.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Scarpelli is correct that if these are all to get tied together and if the board doesn't approve the special use, then the variations don't follow because they would need to be issued a business license to operate, which they wouldn't because they wouldn't have the special use. But I think you guys are on the right track of recommending denial since it's a moot point.
Yeah, so could you be a non-24-hour parking lot?
I would have to look at the code. I would have to dive
Yeah,
in there and see
because
what's
that would be-
allowable.
Again, crazy.
Yeah.
Well, is it a car dealer?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Car
right
dealers that are open 24 hours, and the current business is there now. They have vehicles parked there, it's just the cars can only come and go during the operating hours.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know. I don't know
No,
if
you're right.
somebody can go in at 2 in the morning and drop a car off. I don't think
Yeah, they
anything
do.
prohibit that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, I guess, do we have any more questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay.
So motion then to, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
so moved.
Okay, second.
Commissioner Peck,
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher,
Yes.
Commissioner Myers.
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick,
Yes.
Chair Brunner.
Yes. So, so we're just gonna go through and deny this,
Yeah.
I guess?
Yeah, I mean,
You
it
know.
sounds like you don't have to do the findings of fact unless you want to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We could do an approval pending the approval of the special use.
Yeah, I think,
Because that
But
would
if they approve the
eliminate
special use, they
them
don't
from
need it.
having to
Right.
come back for it.
Although, yeah, or just deny it on the basis that it's not needed.
yeah.
In
I like
that,
that better.
in that the applicant, if
Yeah.
the applicant's business gets limited to 20 hours, they're okay turning their lights off 30 minutes after whatever the
So let's-
closing time is.
Yeah, let's, I think we can put it in the way we do the motion, to make it work. So again, like the last one, we're gonna switch the yes to the no on the first question.
Make a motion, we approve the findings of fact
I'll second,
with the amendment.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Peck,
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher,
Yes.
Commissioner Myers,
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick,
Yes.
Chair Brunner.
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we recommend denial on the basis that the variance is not needed based on the applicant's testimony and the current village code.
Second.
Commissioner Peck,
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes-Braher,
Yes.
Commissioner Myers,
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick,
Yes.
Chair Brunner.
Yes. Okay. Well, that concludes all of our new business for the evening. We have no other business on the, listed on the agenda. Do we have any staff report?
Two things. This will go to the December 2nd village board meeting. And then, for January, right now, the board is gonna pass a resolution approving all of the 2025 meeting dates. And the PZHC meets on the first Thursday of each month. And January 2025 is, right after a holiday, so I just kinda wanna get a show of hands to see who can make it. If I have to arrange for a separate day, just wanna make sure we'll have quorum because we are planning to have business that day.
January what?
2nd,
January
That's a
2nd.
Thursday.
day
yeah,
after
Thursday.
New Year's.
Okay.
Oh.
For a village meeting? Yeah.
If you guys are available.
I'm okay.
A lot of people travel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
no, I'll be here.
Yep, I'm fine, I'm here.
Okay,
I won't be here.
okay,
It's my shift.
okay. I'll mark you down on the calendar. That's all I have, just a quick show of hands survey. Who couldn't make it?
Yeah, I mean, I might not be able to.
You may not
We're
be.
still
Okay.
finalizing our New Year's plans.
Okay,
So,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
but
Franco,
I could
do,
probably, I'll talk to,
what's your, do our terms run through well, the village is now on a calendar fiscal year, they're no longer on a fiscal year, May 1st to April 30th. Are our terms based on a calendar year?
No, I don't think those were impacted. Your appointments still run from when they were originally done and end at the end of April.
At the end, okay, so it's an April 30th. Okay.
May 1, April 30th still.
Yeah.
so yeah, we talked a little bit about this last time. Mine is coming up and Connie's is coming up this year.
I probably don't have.
You don't have that, right. But yeah, we are having a president election this year,
Yeah,
so there will
right.
be an opportunity for, if there is a change, for new appointments. So, which is good. It's good that that's lined up that way.
Yep.
Okay, well then, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A second. There you go.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, hearing none, motion passes. Turn off the recording.
Thank you guys for your time, really.
Thank you.
I know it's not fun coming to these. But
Can't believe it's